All right, coach. Bonus episode. Just me and you today.
Mano y mano.
Slammers Recruiting Podcast, delivering expert advice to deliver value for the player, the parent, and the coach for the Colorado recruit. This is a follow up episode for our live recruiting seminar. Have a lot of relationships with parents, and they asked a lot of follow up questions that were great. So it inspired us to have a follow up episode and take some of those questions and answer them together. I'll lean more into you for a lot of these answers, but there's some good ones. There's some really good ones. And I'm really curious. I do the math on if I was getting recruited now and how much the landscape has changed. And I'm really interested in some of your answers to some of these questions. So let's get started.
Okay, great.
All right. Segment one, communication. Coach, what's the best way for a player to begin emailing coaches, and how often should he follow up, especially when you're in season?
Yeah, probably on average 4 to 6 emails a year is what you're looking at. 4 would be perfect. You get to 6, sometimes 6 is follow-up. But an introductory email is the very first one that you're going to send, right? And then after that, then you're going to update that as you go.
In that first email, what should be included? What are the standard best practices?
Yeah, well, if it's coming just directly from the student athlete, then that email should obviously start out with a paragraph body introducing yourself and putting in your academics, where you go to school, all of the logistic things. You should have a video link in there of your highlights. That should be in the introductory email. There should be a contact to get to Twitter or X, right? How you can DM the coaches and get on their list. So everything they would need in the introductory email, all the specifics of where you go to school, what your GPA is, your high school coach contact, your club coach contact, your travel ball contact, your lessons contact, who that might be, right? A highlight video of what you do as a player. And then in the second body of the paragraph, you really want to highlight the things that you're really good at. So if you're a pitcher, what metrics are you going to put in that paragraph that's going to grab the coach? I've gone from 81, 82 as a freshman to 84, 86, or my breaking ball spin rate, efficiency rate is X and it was this. I've gained 10 pounds. My GPA's gone from 3.1 to 3.5. Whatever it is that shows upward trend in the second part. The closing email, obviously interest in the university, and then kind of leave it at that. But timing is of the essence, and I know that's in the questions that the parents were asking, but it's like, can you send as a freshman? Yes, you can. But you're probably going to go onto a camp list, not on a recruiting list yet, unless you're just off the chart with your metrics. You can follow up as a sophomore, and they'll look and see where you've gone. What's your upward trend. Your junior year is probably the key component of like when you want to send out the first email, when you want to hit them with the link. But you can do it earlier if you want, just so that you're on their radar. They're not going to be able to do anything with you until that junior year, and you're probably not going to be ready physically to show your ability to play at the next level. And you're probably, as a freshman, not going to be in a situation where you have narrowed down your list of schools. You may be sending out emails to your dream schools, and the people that are in that email body, your high school coach, your club coach, they have to be in agreement with those emails, because if they get contacted by those college coaches, they have to be able to tell. So if someone else is sending the email, say your club coach is sending the email for you, then he'll dictate what level you can play at. Are you a Power 4 D1 recruit? Are you a competitive Division I player? Are you a roster player at the Division I level? Are you a D2 or junior college player? He'll have to dictate where he sees you as a player if he's sending that for
You
you.
recommend asking your club and high school coach exactly where they see you playing?
Go on.
Whirl?
Take two. Go ahead.
Well, I was, having the conversations after the live seminar and hearing some of the feedback, when I was coaching a team, granted it was a younger team, I guess it's not front of mind for a coach that's managing a team on a day-to-day and taking them through a schedule to sit there and sit down every player and tell them where they think that they slot. But should a parent or a player have any hesitation to ask their coach where they see them in where they could play in college?
No, I think that needs to align completely. If it's going to work, the recruiting process is going to work. I think your coach has to see where you fit. You need to understand where he thinks you can fit. The other coach needs to understand that. If there's some discrepancy in where they see you as a player, and it's ever changing, that's all okay, but there has to be some understanding, because there's going to be follow-up with your high school coach, there's going to be follow-up with your club coach, there's going to be follow-up with the Slammers program, and everyone kind of has to be pretty much on the same scale if this is going to work out for you from a recruiting standpoint.
I feel like, too, I would recommend, instead of asking, where do you think I could play? I think that the better question is, well, where do you want to play? And can I? And if not, what do I need to do? What are the boxes that I need to check in order to go play at fill in the blank, right? I feel like that's a much better frame. And I actually think that you're going to get a lot more honest answer from a coach if you frame it that way than opposed, because they don't want to disappoint you, right? And if they are going to and if they know that they're going to disappoint you, then I feel like that really muddies the water in terms of the information that you're getting. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so, but I think the metrics will tell the story. I don't think it's an opinion-based conversation. I think the metrics are going to tell the story. GPA. I want to go to an Ivy League school. What's the GPA I need in order to go to an Ivy League school? That's an easy metrics, right? I want to be a Division I player. Okay, this is what the velocity looks like at your age to be a Division I player at the schools that you're asking to go to. This is what the height and weight metric is for kids that are at your position that are going to the Division I level to play at these types of schools. This is the bat speed, exit velocity that is being used. This is the speed quadrant that's being used for a player of your stature. This is what the velocity across the diamond is being used as a metric. And so you can talk in metrics more than you talk in, well, I don't see you as that type of player, or I do see you as that type of player. Because even if your club coach or your travel ball coach sees you as that type of a player, they're going to need a video or some metric that backs that up for them when they send that to a college coach.
Yeah, you mentioned it in both live seminars that coaches are movement experts, and they're going to watch you move, right? When should a player, how does a player, what a lot of players say? I just want to play college baseball. So if you're a sophomore or junior and you're not really being heavily or actively recruited, in terms of time commitment and then maybe even coach outreach, I recommended to one player, I'm like, yeah, man, one a day, 30 a month, right? Think of it as if you cast a wide net, what do you think is a healthy amount of time investment and number of coach outreach that a player who just wants to play college baseball, what should they pursue?
Yeah, I think, you have to look at your list, and you have to look at the list academically more than anything. Yeah, I want to play college baseball. Wonderful. Okay, what kind of academic program do you want to be involved in? Do you want a big school, University of Michigan? Do you want a smaller school, Do you want a medium type school? What do you want from that standpoint, right? And so I think once you've, these guys haven't made one word. Hey, sit there. They haven't made one sound until
Because
now.
they know you paid attention to something else.
Oh, okay. So we can go back to that, and I'll cue it up.
So if you have a sophomore or junior who says that they just want to play college baseball, I spoke with a junior who says that, and I was like, man, you can average one a day, 30 a month, cast a wide net, right? If you really want to play, then you got to play the numbers game. But what do you think is a reasonable and healthy amount of outreach that a player and a family should do if they just want to play college baseball?
Yeah, I think you have to narrow it down, right? Academically, first of all, to where you want to be academically. You have to narrow it down from an economical standpoint, where you can afford to go. And then geographically, you need to look at, what do I want to do? Do I want to cast a net across the entire country? And if I do, so 15, 30 to 45 schools, probably when you start out, 45 schools is probably a good list. As things get closer, you're going to narrow that list down to 30, then maybe you're going to narrow that list to 15, and then you're going to narrow that list to probably 7 to 10 that are interested in you. But you have to get it to the 7 or 10 that are interested in you if you want to play. So that may take 50 schools. But if you're a little bit better with your arrows, meaning you're shooting your arrows at the schools you're interested in, and then you get interest from them, then you can narrow it down. If you just throw it out there and you want to blanket the entire country, all 315 Division I schools, and you want to send that out, all 300 Division II schools, and send it out, you can do that. You can do that. You can send it out to everybody and then see who has interest in you. But still, even that interest that comes back, you're still going to have to narrow it down to, where do you want to go to school? What do you want to pay for school? And are you going to get an opportunity to play at those schools? So you'll have to narrow that down. But I think your number, if you say 30, 30 a month, one a day, that's great. If you really want to play, you have to be aggressive, and you have to push the envelope. They're not going to necessarily come to you unless you're a 1%er. And if you're not a 1%er, then you need to get extremely active in your metrics, in your videos, and in your outreach. And then you have to somehow figure out, I know we'll get to the camp situation later, but you have to figure out, how do you narrow it down in the end?
How important is it for a kid's coach, traveler in high school, to advocate for him? And what should families expect from those guys?
Yeah, it's changed so much over the last few years, where the high school coaches are a little more removed than they were. The high school coach was very active in the recruiting process 5 years ago, not as active anymore, because they're not all teachers at the school. They're not invested. They're invested in the baseball piece of it, but they're there to coach. They're there to keep the kids safe and healthy and happy, and they're there for the competition piece. They're not so much there to move kids on to the collegiate level. I think that happens with your travel coach. That happens with your travel club, and I think that's probably where those people are going to help you the most. But I still think they need to be able to advocate for you. I mean, anybody that you play for, anybody that you are in touch with, they need to be able to advocate. What kind of work ethic do you have? What kind of teammate are you? What kind of person are you? What kind of student are you? How are you going to impact a college program? Maybe they're not contacted by college coaches as much, because you go straight to the club coach or you go to an advisor. And so the high school coach is out of it, but you don't want to take that chance. You don't want to have a poor relationship with your high school coach and think that you're going to go and play college baseball.
If I was a high school coach, I would expect and have no reservation to just ask to be asked for a blanket letter of recommendation that isn't necessarily geared towards any school. Just, this is my opinion of you as a player. And the thing about the benefit of that is that you don't have to use it, right? First of all, I think it's feedback. It can only work for you, and even if you don't use it for promotional purposes, I still think it is feedback. And I've been asked for more than a handful of letters of recommendations to send to schools. I always say I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be perfectly honest. And I don't think a parent or a player should ever hesitate to ask any coach. I mean, if a coach is coaching 99% of the time to 100% of the time, they're doing it because they want to help kids. They're doing it because they have a piece of knowledge for the game and they want to help kids. And whether it's a 15 or 30-minute investment for a kid to go and ask a coach, hey, I'm going to be putting myself out to colleges. Do you think that I could use a letter of recommendation just in case somebody asks for it, so I don't have to ask you for it in a deadline or ask for it in a window, so that I just have it? I think that's a standard best practice if you want to play college. Absolutely.
Well, it's like a restaurant review, right? The more reviews you get at the restaurant that the food is good and it's clean and it's a great place, the more chances people are they're gonna go. And the same thing as a college recruit. The more people you have behind you that are giving you reviews, the better chance you have of playing.
Is there any difference from a college head coach's perspective? Is there any difference between if a coach outreaches to you or if a recruiting advisor reaches out to you?
Yeah, I would say that probably, but I think as a college coach, who do you trust, right? Who do you trust as a level recommendation? Like, who's going to give you a recommendation truly based on this kid can actually play for you and help you be successful? Or are they trying to promote something different and help the kid just get to that university? Are they helping themselves? Excuse me. Are they helping the kid? Are they helping what is that? So I think, is there a difference? Yes, but I reached out to a Division I college coach that I coached against for the last 15 years, and I had a kid today I was trying to help place, and I didn't get a response back. So I'm sometimes I'm mortified when I don't get a response back, but I think every college coach in America has to see the video and has to see you for himself. I don't think that they're necessarily just going to take somebody's word for it and then go from there.
Yeah. All any coach or recruiting advisor recommendation is going to do is maybe give you a more captive audience for when they watch you. And
yes,
where they're going to watch you in video and they're going to watch you compete. I think that should be the standard first layer. Is what do you show? How do you move? What particular skill do you have that you can demonstrate both in person and or on a video that is going to demonstrate that you can compete at that coach's school? Coaching recommendations are great, absolutely. But at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is, do you have a captive audience for when you show how you move? Baseball is a movement sport, right? And it's a skill. You have to be able to demonstrate that and have it be self-evident in a video or when you're performing that you have a skill that can compete at that level, whatever level that is.
Yeah, the video is going to get you, it's going to open the door, it's going to get it started, it's going to get attention, but there's still going to come a point where you're going to have to put it up, right? It's basically, I go back to you as a professional baseball player, right? We could recommend every scout in America come and see you play, and then when they show up at the field, you're going to have to play. And when you play, they have interest. And if you don't play, they don't have as much interest. So, of the 30 major league teams that saw you play, there was good interest from all those teams because when they showed up, they saw what they needed to see from you as a player. But I could tell them all the time how great you are. They still have to come and watch you move.
Most definitely. All right. Showcases versus camps. All right. Perfect game, PBR, 5-tool, single school camps, multi-school camps. For an uncommitted 2027 player, What is the actual best path?
Yeah, there's different paths for every single athlete. That you have to, I think you have to split it up between those two. I think showcases are great because you're going to get more coaches at showcases than you are just at a camp. So if you go to a showcase PBR, you go to a perfect game, whatever, if you get into those types of events, you're going to have more coaches at those events. But you're also going to have more players at those events. So on the flip side of it, more players, more coaches, less opportunities. More coaches, more opportunities. Depends on how you show up and show out, I guess, in those forums. You go to a camp, you're going to narrow your numbers down, but you're also only going to be looked at by that university, unless they have a couple other coaches at their camp that can help you. So I think you have to mix some of those in there, and you have to be able to go to the showcase. Maybe if you're an academic player, you go to a showcase and you get on an academic list. If you're a top tier Division I player, you go to a showcase and you get seen by 100 college coaches, and then you start getting interest. Eventually, you're probably going to have to go to one of those camps at that school and really show out and show up there, and then they'll see you personally, and then that's where the recruiting happens. So you either get recruited out of a camp, you get recruited out of a showcase, or you get recruited based on your video and what your coach's recommendations are for you.
My best advice, and a really important thing to understand about the tryout situation, is there's a different adrenaline to it, right? Like, it's not competing, but I can remember, I have vivid memories. I can remember whether it be pro tryouts or when a college coach is watching. I think it's really important to understand that, particularly in this game, you need to make it look easy. You need to be able to demonstrate that you have a filter that allows you to control the adrenaline. So I think some good advice that I got was, how do you do it at a 6 and let the adrenaline elevate you to the 9 or a 10? Adrenaline's always a +2 or 3 factor. The couple of camps that I've witnessed, you watch kids and they might even have a good skill, but if they go really fast and adrenaline is obviously overtaking them, that creates questions about the playability. Like pressure is part of it. And so, the ability to demonstrate you have a calm way about you, even when there's an adrenaline and even when there's a sense of pressure, that going all out, if you're trying to show out and you're throwing wild or whatever it is, probably the only thing you should really do hard is.
Yeah, no doubt. And not everyone's built to be a showcase player. Not everybody's abilities are in a showcase where you can run a straight line and impress everybody, where you could take batting practice and get 12 swings and impress everybody, where you can take 6 ground balls and impress everybody. And I think you have to stay within your process, right? And I think about my son when I talk about this, because he was not a showcase player, right? He was an average runner. He didn't throw the ball across the diamond to impress anybody, but it was accurate. He caught every ball. No one was ever safe at first base in a game situation, right? When he had an opportunity to catch it and throw it. But in a showcase, he may not show out as much as the guy standing next to him. And so I always had to convince him to stay within his process and just catch the balls you catch, throw them over there how you throw them over there accurately. And if that's not good enough for somebody, then we have to move on. In batting practice, if you're not a power guy, then show them that you can hit. And the BP guy might not be very good that day, and you're going to have to make some adjustments to his batting practice. But if you just go out there and you light your hair on fire and you go 1,000,000 miles an hour and you throw it as hard as you can and you swing as hard as you can, you're probably going to have a rough day unless things match up for you. So, but you're going to have to be able to handle stress and play while being evaluated, because as you know, and as I know, the moment you leave high school and you want to play and you want to continue to play, whether it's at the Division I level or it's as a professional athlete, you're being evaluated every single day of your life for the rest of your career. And you're going to have to learn how to stay within your process. And if your tools play well enough, then you continue to play. And if they don't, it usually ends.
If I'm not a showcase player and I'm a gamer, what when you watch a player and you're like, wow, he's a gamer, and you can tell that at tryouts, what's the substance to that? How do I demonstrate I'm a gamer if I'm not a showcase?
Yeah, you have to stay in your process and stay within yourself, right? But you have to look at the camps that you're going to, and if there's games inside of those camps and you're a gamer, that's probably what you're looking for. If they're just showcases where you just go and you run and you throw and you hit and there's no competitiveness in the games, it's going to be really hard for you to show that. So from a pitching standpoint, same thing, right? You get 5 hitters, you face 5 hitters. It's like you can throw as many balls as you want, face 5 hitters if you light up the radar gun and you spin the breaking ball. But in a game situation, if your bases loaded, no outs, and you can wiggle your way out of that by making pitches, then you're a gamer. You've shown that you can perform in game situations, in competitive situations. So you have to understand your tool set and then try to match what you go and do with your tool set. You're going to have to go and run a straight line and throw the ball across the diamond and show your bat speed no matter what. Those metrics are going to be captured. But if your true essence is as a baseball player, take an extra base, move up on a ball in the dirt, right? Be able to throw to the correct base from the outfield in game situations. You have to get in those situations to show your skill set.
Word that comes to mind for me is efficiency. Let's use Nico as an example, your son. So that as a shortstop. So when he shows up at a tryout as a shortstop, then your angles as an infielder, as an outfielder, the type of angles that you take to a ball demonstrate that you have a self-awareness about what your game is. That's what's going to make you show up as a gamer. Is that can you take a half step out of getting the ball out of on a backhand, right? Can you take a half step out of that by having a great first step? Being efficient in how you approach a tryout or a showcase type of situation is something that is really important. From a pitching perspective, how am I efficient? I think that if you don't light up a radar gun, if you're throwing 80 to 82 miles an hour, and that's not gonna blow anybody's socks off, throw 78 to 80 and spot up. Show that you have a realization of what your limitations are, but you know how to compete, and that location matters. I think that efficiency is the number one way to overcome any physical deficiency. How do you demonstrate efficiency in your game when your skills are being evaluated?
Yeah, it's interesting. Nico was a freshman in college, and I sent him to the Cape to play, and played for a really good coach as a freshman. They won a championship in the Cape. And when I sent him there, I told the coach he's an elite defender at shortstop. And he was like, he played him at second base the whole summer, right? So whatever, he played him at second base. He had a great Cape, whatever. 2 years later, he goes back to the Cape, plays against this coach, who is someone that I still communicate with very well. I saw him at dinner, and he said, you know what? When Nico was a freshman, you told me he was an elite defender at short. He goes, I've watched him this summer play shortstop in the Cape. He is an elite defender. But the point of the story is not that he was an elite defender. He didn't change anything from the time he was a freshman till he was a junior. This guy just never gave him the opportunity to see him play 20 times at that position. And then he was like, oh, wow, he really is an elite defender.
I'm gonna take pause on that for the parents to understand that here you have a coach you're a friend with who obviously respects your opinion, knows that you would not, knows that you wouldn't blow smoke, right, in his direction to say that. And given all of that, he still had to watch it 20 times for him to believe it. Like at the end of the day, the coaches are feeding their families they're going to trust their eyes. They're going to trust their brain what's in front of them. And it would have been real easy for him to just say, well, Nino knows, right? And he knows he won,
Yeah. Oh,
right?
yeah.
And you
No.
probably in that same conversation spoke of his limitations in a way that commanded respect in that, hey man, I'm giving you a clean opinion here. You know what I mean? I'm giving it to you
Yeah.
straight, right? I'm advocating for my kid and also knowing exactly what you go through. And the dude still had to see it 20 times before he believed.
And he still had to see it another year. And the kid that played in front of him has never played a professional day at shortstop. He's the starting left fielder for the Texas Rangers, but he never played a day at short in the big leagues.
Uh, I have a good efficiency story. So in 2011, no, 2010, um, I was in Reading, Pennsylvania with the Double A for the Philadelphia Phillies, and we had an 18-year-old shortstop, and his name was Freddie Galvis. Remember that name?
Phew, yeah, he
Yeah,
was a good player.
yeah. They signed him.
He's a good player in the big
Yeah, they
leagues too.
signed him at 16 out of Venezuela, and he was already in Double A by 18, and he was tiny, and he looked like a child. He was 18, and he looked 16. Baby face, high voice, the whole deal. He he achieved that position. I think he hit one homer. I think he hit like 260, and he had two things that made the Philadelphia Phillies make them think that he could be successful at Double A at 18 years old. His angles were incredible. He never fielded a ball out of position. He had a good arm. He had a good arm. That's not why he was there. His ability to get rid of it, his exchange, his efficiency was absolutely incredible. And he actually really wasn't that good of a hitter. But do you know what he had? He had really, you could tell that when runners were in scoring position, that he had the ability to raise his level. His skill, to be perfectly honest, his skill was not ready for Double A. But because he was so efficient and because he was able to demonstrate a maturity and an intangible ability to raise his level in pressure situations, they said put him there. And he really struggled his first 2 months. But they knew that he had the right attitude, and they knew that he had intangible qualities about him because of how he could play. I mean, he understood, and he would make plays sometimes. I'm like, what was he even doing over there? But if you watched him play day in and day out, you could see, okay, he's paying attention to every pitch that's called, and he's moving a half step to his right on a right-handed hitter that's going to receive an off-speed pitch, and he's making plays he wasn't that fast. He wasn't that fast either. I think he was quick, but he was not that fast. But he would make plays that were, you don't see many shortstops make outs in professional baseball when they make more than 2 to 3 steps to the right or left. He made them all the time. He made them all of the time because he demonstrated day in and day out that he understood the game and he was efficient. He overcame all of his deficiencies by having physical efficiencies. He's the first guy that sticks out to me because he had no business. Physically, he had no business. He looked like a kid. I remember in batting practice, we'd be wearing shorts and T-shirts and the big helmets, and we'd make fun of him. We called him El Nino, little boy, man, like Chiquito. But 2 years later, he was 20, 21 years old in the big leagues because he was an efficient player. And then when he got to the big leagues and he grew into his body and he just matured, he was incredible, absolutely incredible. Be efficient.
It's interesting, and just to add to that, not to get off topic, but having breakfast with my son this morning, and he said, you know what separates elite defenders at shortstop? When they move to their left or their right and the ball allows them to move forward, that's what separates them. And I was like, and you just pinpointed it there, but that's what made him elite, but he understood that. And for all the parents that are listening out there, right, it's like there are so many more things that good baseball people are watching and they understand. So somebody from the Phillies really understood this skill level that he had, and that's why they're elite. That's why they're so good.
To bring it back to the anchor of the segment with showcases and whatnot, if you're an infielder or an outfielder, what is really important is that you demonstrate the ability, like you just said, as an infielder. He goes to his right, but then by the time the throw is over, he's going in a straight line towards his target.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I see it all the
He's
time in the
already,
outfield where guys they'll hit a ball in infield or during a game, and then they're going in a diagonal line, and then they have to course correct as they throw. That is probably one of the biggest things. This goes back to efficiency. That is the biggest thing that a coach is going to watch is like, okay, if you don't have a great arm, right? And even if you have a great arm, your ability to set your angle in your first couple of steps, to be able to get your body in your mass and your inertia working in the direction to your target, that is one of the biggest flaws that I see in a high school player, is that even if they have great tools, if you don't have the ability to control your body and be working in multiple angles and then have the athleticism and the preparation in your first steps to be having your body weight going towards your target, that is huge. And it makes anybody think that if somebody has an average arm but they have great angles, that's how you have an average arm but get told you have a good arm, or you're going to throw guys out. And that's huge, absolutely huge.
yes.
Coach, do college coaches actually care about a player's ranking?
Um, it, Probably not. I would say that no, that I don't. I mean, yeah, the ranking's great to put on your website after you sign a guy, and he's the number 3 player of all PBR, perfect game. It's all wonderful. Do they care? Maybe it gains some attention to them, but it doesn't. They're still going to have to see you move and see you play. Once you get on that campus, that ranking, it has nothing to do with anything.
All I when I As I was thinking about this, it can only help you.
Yeah,
It can help you, but it does not
It
hurt.
can
It
hurt
does
you.
not hurt you. Does not hurt you.
No,
I know
but
we have a kid at Slammers right now
but
who's got a low, like has a low PBR ranking, and I was like, that literally does not matter.
no, no. If you're worried because your ranking's not high enough, and you think that's going to be the separating factor for you, it's not. It's not. That's why even as you go level by level, even if you're a first round pick, you may get more opportunities, but that doesn't mean you're going to play. The best players are going to play.
Yeah, and in fact, a high ranking creates a standard of expectation that might be pressure for a coach. Conversely,
Or a player.
conversely,
Or a
if you
player.
have a low one, this is the ideal situation. You want a coach to say, why is he ranked that? Like, that's probably the highest compliment that a coach could pay you, is like, I don't even understand why you're ranked 90th, right? That is absolutely preposterous. That's the conversation that you want to have. You'd want to ideally have a low ranking that is clearly preposterous.
Yeah, who's ranking them is the question I want to know. Where are these rankings coming from? Where is the survey? Is it 5 people from Stanford that are running a survey? Where is the survey coming from?
A parent wrote in that their son doesn't like posting on social media, and they don't like filming every at bat at the fence. Now, be honest, how badly does that hurt the player?
Yeah, I mean, if you're not going to post on social media and you're not going to have good angles and you're not going to have the highlights of the season, it's going to be very difficult to place you. It's very difficult. You're going to have to be seen by a coach that you want to go and play for, and that's the only way that it's going to happen for you. So you're just limiting your opportunities if you're not being active in the process. Maybe you don't enjoy standing by the fence and videoing each at bat, then have somebody else do that for you. Maybe you don't enjoy posting on social media and boasting for yourself. I understand that, but it's going to be really hard for you to compete in this arena if you don't advertise your ability. So somebody somewhere somehow needs to advertise your ability if you want to play at the next level.
Follow-up question to that: when you go and look at a kid's Twitter profile, what impresses you?
I think that when it's condensed down and they have the right angles, and when they have video of them playing against other really good players, or striking out good players, or making defensive plays on players that could run, and Uh, I'm impressed by looking at the video and how does the video show it, right? So what story does it tell me? It tells me this kid can play at a high level. It tells me they can control themselves emotionally. They can make pitches. They can make plays. They can take good turns on base hits. They can go first to third with quality angles. I mean, what is that story telling me? So when I see the video, it tells me a lot. It also tells me a lot from a negative standpoint, right? If your videos are you cranking home runs off of 40 miles an hour, middle up, that's all great. But when you're hitting 92 away and you're getting to it, that tells me the story that I want.
This next one, I'm going to steer this one a little bit. It's who is actually the best advocate for the player? His club coach, his high school coach, his hitting coach, a mentor. And I'm going to wrap this up and see what you think. I think that before you have 15 paragraphs from your entourage, for lack of a better term, ask your crew to sum me up in one sentence. And a stack of 5 quotes that there's a clear theme about your ability, your character, and your presence. I think that that's the goal. And I know that that's a challenge. I understand that that's a challenge, but that's compelling. That's way more compelling than having 5 coaches send 2 to 3 paragraphs that describe you. Is that if I have a single quote of 1 to 2 sentences from a handful of people, and there's a clear thematic demonstration of who you are and what you represent, that is way better than having a library of information from people that are writing on your behalf. What do you think?
Yeah, I would even take it just in a different direction. The question I would ask every coach when I pick up the phone or see him, is this one of the best players you've coached? Is this one of the best players in your program? Is this one of the best players? Is this one of the best workers that you've seen? Does this kid have the best attitude that in the last 5 years? Where does he stack up with the best, the greatest that you've coached? And I want answers to those questions. So if the theme from those 5 people can answer that question for me, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for somebody to be like, Tagbo Zaid is one of the best power hitters to come out of Colorado in the last 10 years. That piques my interest, right? When I talk to your club coach, where does he rank? Well, over the last 5 years, he's in the top 3 players we've had, and we've had this guy go to Tennessee and this guy go to Vanderbilt, and he's right there. When we signed Jack Winkler out of the Slammers program, I went to see him play at Cherry Creek in a tournament, and I came back and I asked Clint Savaras what kind of player Jack was, and he said, he's the best shortstop in this class that I've ever seen. He will be the best player out of Colorado at that position that I have seen. That piqued my interest. Well, Jack Winkler then had to show up, and then he had to show his skill set. He played in the big leagues last year, so I think Clint gets some stars right there, right? Like, you're like, okay, like Clint's telling the right story. He knows exactly what's happening.
All right. Position and geography. What should families anticipate by position? Who gets recruited first? Pitchers, catchers, shortstops, outfielders, infielders? When you're doing your deal, how does the order of priority work?
Yeah, pitchers always. Pitchers always get recruited first, always. Shortstops always get recruited first from a position player standpoint. Center fielders always get recruited first from an outfield standpoint. And then you go to your power bats. Is it going to be a first baseman or a third baseman? That's probably the next recruiting tool. And then obviously catcher is only one position, so the catchers are going to always be recruited at that level. But I would say pitching, shortstop, center field, catching, power hitter, speed, defensive player, right? Good team player. So when you get to 8, you're looking at the team player. So I think from that that would be kind of like the list of what you're looking for recruiting wise.
How does a young player who doesn't have power but has speed, how should they play? What should they show?
Yeah, they should understand. Yeah, they need to understand their skill set, right? They need to understand their skill set, and if the power is usually the last tool to come for most players, even doubles gap power, but that's usually the last tool to come. So if you're a speed player, you need to be a good defensive player with speed. Add that in there. But then you have to have a skill set that matches speed. You have to be able to steal bases. You can't just be a guy that has speed. You have to be able to take extra bases. You have to be able to bunt. You have to be able to move runners. You have to be able to drive runners in situations. You need to be a guy that can really help in a lot of areas, and then your speed plays when we put you on the field. And then as you grow as a player and get stronger, now you really become a player. But if you're a speed player that doesn't have a skill set that matches that, you can't steal bases and you can't short game and you can't execute and you can't move runners, it'd be really hard for a coach to recruit you.
Note for the speed guys, when you fly out, make sure you're still flying.
Yeah, when you hit a fly ball to the outfield, make sure you get to second base.
You're on the clock, my friend.
That answers a lot of questions.
You are on the clock. This one wasn't in there, but this is one that I'm enamored by. This concept of POs, like by the time they're 13 or 14, and there are some. If I get advice, if I have a good arm and I'm young, and I still want to hit, like help a parent of a 13, 14, 15-year-old who's getting pressure to be like a PO. What's your take on that? How if Nico was 13, 14, or 15 years old, and he was different because he was never really wanted to be a pitcher, but there's some good talented pitchers out there that can also hit, and then they try to slot them as POs. What do you got?
Yeah, I know I answer a lot of the questions a little differently sometimes, but when I went into a house to recruit, I wanted to recruit the quarterback and the point guard or the power forward, and then the shortstop and then the right-handed pitcher. I didn't want to just recruit the pitcher. Like, if a guy was a multi-sport athlete, I thought that was fantastic because there was so much you could learn from playing other sports as far as your movements, as far as your leadership, as far as toughness, as far as teamwork, as far as different coaching philosophies. So I would really refrain from being a pitcher-only, a position-only player. I think I would continue to play the game. I had a young kid that's on the call with me that did both all the way through college. And, we thought his career was going to be as a right-handed pitcher at one point in time, and then he became a power hitter. And so when, I think it was great for you to continue to do both of those and learn how to compete.
Announce my presence with authority. I know you want to.
I was going to wait for you to say it.
I will say this. For those that do choose to be POs, make it self-evident to those around you that you are investing wisely in your extra time.
If you're going to be a pitcher only, you really have to master your craft. You really have to master your craft. So I'm watching a AA series, 6 games, 18 for 18 in stolen bases, the opposing team that played against us this week in the 6-game series. 18 for 18 stolen bases. The team that I was rooting for gave up. And those are pitcher only, so they haven't mastered their craft yet. They're 1/8 to the plate with high leg kicks, and they're just letting them do what they do, and you can't stop nobody. I've never seen it in my entire life, and so it's like if they master that craft early, as sophomores, juniors in high schools, and they're around the 1.3, 1.4, they understand that they can still get velocity out of that. Then I think as they move up the ladder, they're more ready to be successful.
If I had a son that was a PO, this is how I'd break it down to him. You're going to take that investment of time that you are cashing in on hitting, and you're going to learn how to shut down a lineup. And here's what a lot of people don't know. Uh, 1.3, the fastest dudes, take that spectrum, whatever it is, the base stealers in pro ball, at 1.3, they're saying it's a 50-50 shot. They're still going to go. At
Yeah.
1.2 seconds, if you can deliver the ball with command in 1.2 seconds, you shut down a running game. You
Yeah.
100% shut down a running game. So my best advice to young POs out there is that you need to learn how to throw strikes and disrupt the rhythm and tempo of the running game. And by the way, when you do that, you also disrupt the hitter. When you can command a pitch with a slide step and you have your high leg kick, that is now two different rhythms that the hitter has to adjust to. So that's two different fastballs and two different breaking balls. If you're a PO, there is zero excuse for you to not command the baseball from the slide step. And I got to be honest with you, I don't I'm yet to see anybody in the state of Colorado be able to clearly have the same control and command from the slide step that they do with the high leg kick, and that would be unacceptable if it was my kid. I'll just say that.
Yeah, if you're a pitcher only, you should be able to command your off-speed stuff. You should be able to hold runners. You should be able to field your position. You should be able to command your pitches. You should be able to do a lot of things, because that you're only focusing just on pitching, and there's more than just playing catch and more than just throwing the ball as far as you can in long toss that revolves around the pitching part of it. So you need to master your craft. You want to go to college? College coaches need to win, and they need to win in a very short period of time. They need to win. You go to pro ball, they don't necessarily need to win until you get to the big league level, right? So it's a different game. But if you want to go to college and play, you need to win, and you need to win now. And you can't give up stolen bases. You can't not field your position. You cannot not command your off-speed pitch. You need to do that in order to play. So it's a lot harder to play right away in college than it is to do something different.
If I'm a high school kid and I need academic support, how do I do that in a transparent way that is going to empower my position instead of cost me something?
Yeah, I think if you need academic support, I think you go and do it, and you make yourself the best student possible. There's kids that go to all levels of college baseball with learning deficiencies, and they do very well because they ask for help, and because they're very efficient in getting the help, and they're very diligent in doing the work. If you hide from a deficiency, or you're not diligent in doing your work, it's going to be very hard for you to be successful at the next level. You can always get extra help, and you can communicate that you need extra help, but basically what you're showing is that you have elite work ethic to overcome adversity. And you can do that and still communicate that to recruits and to college coaches, that I may have a deficiency here, but it's not going to hold me back.
What is Slammers actually doing to market and develop kids for college?
Yeah, Slammers is incredible as far as marketing the players, and you know, obviously the tournaments and the schedules that they play, the college coaches that they invite in, the relationships that they have with college coaches is incredible. The metrics that they put out for kids, the opportunity to have a platform and put your metrics on a platform where college coaches could come to, a brand that they have at Slammers is incredible. So you know, they're using your coach, right? They're using the system and the program. They're using every resource possible to get you an opportunity to go and play at the next level, whatever level that is. And so now we need to find the right fit. But I think Slammers has been fantastic in how they approach it.
What should they ask for?
What should the student athlete ask for?
What should the student athlete ask for? So, for instance, I'll use my old team, my old players. A lot of them, they're 2027s at Broomfield right now. their parents are probably watching this and they're probably thinking, how do I get Nino involved in my kids' future? What should they do?
Yeah, email me, call me, connect with me, ask the questions, ask me to promote you and help you. But you also need to understand that we need to find the right fit. I can't just, I'm not going to be able to call the Yankees tomorrow and get you an opportunity to play center field for the Yankees. Like, I can't do it. But do you want help setting up your emails? Do you want help setting the communication with coaches? Do you want to understand the process that it's going to take in order to find the right fit? I think that's something that I can help anyone with at any time. But then that also involves I need an evaluation process from your coach, or I need to see you play, or you and ITAG need to see them play in order to really be able to evaluate what level is best for them or what direction is best for them, and then be able to help them. But the entire Slammers community is involved in this process. So Billy, Mark, all of them, they're all involved in this entire process, and they've had great connections this entire time. So we're on different levels with every kid depending on where you're at physically, right? Some kids are further along and they go faster. Some are a little bit slower and it takes a little extra time. Some are more diligent as far as understanding where they want to go to school and what they want to do, and so that helps the process. But I guess to answer just the question, they can contact me at any time, whether it's email or by phone, and I can help them in the process.
I think it would be very intimidating for me as a parent to think about wanting somebody to advocate for my kid, and then also, like, it would be intimidating to expect the honest feedback. I'm thinking of somebody right now, and I had a recent conversation with a parent, and I think the kid's a Power 5, is that what they call it? Power 4, whatever, the big schools. Yeah. I think that he's that, right?
Power
I
4.
think that he's that at age 21, right? So can you help
Right.
a parent that knows their kid is good, right? But he is getting no shine right now. There's no Power 5 interest, right? But I'm going like, look, if the kid wants to play at a big school, I 100% think that he can play at a big school. He's not going to go there out of high school, right? How does a parent balance that, understand that, manage the emotions of the kid to be like, hey, I know it's your dream to go there at 19, but if you really want that, you got to probably spend 2 to 3 years developing your skill set. Like, help a parent understand that.
Yeah, I think no matter who you are as a player, if you're the top 1% and you get a scholarship offer from a Power 4, you have the same job as a kid that you're talking about right now that won't be there till he's 21. So it's all about development for everybody. So everyone needs to continue to develop their skill set, their strength. They need to keep developing their mental focus. They need to keep developing no matter what happens. If they get a scholarship tomorrow to their dream school, they need to, the very next day, they need to figure out, what do I need to do? I need to develop. I need to keep developing, or this is going to stop for me. So no matter who you are, it's all about development. But now going back to that kid that is going to develop a little bit later, go someplace where you fit in. Go someplace where you're going to get an opportunity to develop your skill set. If your skill set develops like you're saying it does, and at 19 or 20 you're at the peak of your development and you've outgrown the school that you're at, then that honest conversation with your coach and that university needs to be had, that, hey, I need to move to the next level in order to help me become a professional or whatever that be. Then those honest conversations need to keep happening as you move up the ladder. So I think going there right now and getting buried at your dream school and being on the roster and not getting a chance to play for 3 years, not so sure that's going to help you develop, right? You're going to need to go someplace where you can pitch 50 or 60 innings, someplace where you can get 150 to 200 at bats, someplace where you can play defensively and learn about yourself so that when you do get to that point, you are an elite level player. And if you are an elite level player, no matter where you're at, somebody's going to notice that.
I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated because, when I coached, when I coached a 13 and 14-year-old team, it blew my mind how, my expertise is hitting. And it blew my mind how I was coaching a team, I was around them all the time, and I felt like I could never coach them hitting. Because I'm coaching third base, and when my hitters are actually accessible, I'm not actually with them, right? I'm in the box. And so there's this disconnect that even if I have a lot of expertise to offer, that the dynamics of the day-to-day operation of a team really pulls a lot of expertise out of a coach, right? And so, for instance, if I'm a speed guy, right, and that's my tool, how do I make sure that when you say skill development, like as a base runner who's a speed guy, and when you think about a 2-hour practice, and let's say you even do it as a conditioning drill, you're working on first to thirds and second to homes, like how do I understand what, if I am going to compete at a high level, or I want to compete at a high level, and I have whatever my best tool is, and I don't get that. For instance, as a speed guy, how does a speed guy work like a speed guy, knowing full well that the practice structure and the way the team operates does not facilitate that? Like, what is the optimal extra work that is aligned with the different skill sets? I guess the direct question I'm asking is, how much extra time should I spend on my best tool? Because that's what it comes down to too. You have to be able to identify your best tool and then be able to operate in the margins with it, right? And the reality is that at the high school level, you're not going to have enough time inside of the team environment to be able to do that. What should I do? If I'm the speed guy is what sticks out to me, because I know that kids are not learning. Well, they may be learning, but they're not really putting in the time to learn how to get an extra half step and to learn how to steal a base even when a guy is a 1.3, right? What sort of extra work should I expect to put in on my best tool? Use a speed guy as an example.
2 hours a week, extra, 20 minutes a day, 6 days a week. So for every day in the week, there's 1 day off, but there's 6 days in that week where you need to spend 20 extra minutes outside of practice, outside of all distractions. So either researching, watching, asking questions, keeping a journal, understanding your journal. What are your goals? What are your 10 goals for the month? What are your 10 goals for the year? What are your 2 goals for the day? What do you want to do? I want to work on my first step quickness. I want to work on the balance of my body, being able to either go right or left, so if he picks, I can get back, and if he pitches, I can leave without getting off balance, right? What do I want to cue in on? Hip, knee, foot? What shows me versus a lefty? Does he cross? Does he lift? Does he hang? When's he going to decide to go to the plate? How do I learn all of this as a speed guy? Well, I got to put in 20 minutes extra a day, and I have to ask those questions. And so I think if you journal, you have a better chance of doing it, right? So when you're in the third base box as the hitting coach, and you have all this information as the hitting coach, and I'm the hitter, and I'm struggling, I need to spend 20 minutes extra every day asking questions that answer my questions. Why am I not being successful in the game? You're late. You're late. What do you mean I'm late? You're late when you start, you're late into your launch, you're late when you sit down, you're late getting your swing off, right? How do I answer those questions? Well, 20 minutes a day, 6 days a week, pretty soon you're going to start to answer one or two of those questions. But if you don't put in 2 extra hours, we've talked about Luke Keishel a lot on this. Luke put in 2 hours a day extra. When everyone else was in the dorms sleeping or playing video games or hanging out with their girlfriend or going to dinner, Luke was in the batting cage until it was pitch black. And then he would call me at my house and say, can you meet me at the academy at 7:30 and throw me batting practice? So that was after practice, after his extra work. Then he would call my house and say, can you meet me at the academy and throw me batting practice this evening? And he would do that 5 days a week. And if I wasn't available, he would take 4 guys with him to the academy and hit until midnight. There's no question why he's playing at an elite level, right? Because of his ability, first of all, but his work ethic. Now, can everybody put in that kind of time? I don't know. If you want to be great, if you want to be the greatest version of yourself, players are made outside of practice. Players are made outside of games. Players are made outside of the coach monitoring them all the time. The greatest players are guys that started to understand how to coach themselves. Right. But the greatest players were also very inquisitive. They asked questions that were poignant, and they focused on one thing until they mastered it. So when I said earlier, mastering your craft, if you want to master your craft, you need to start writing down what you have not mastered in your craft. And then you need to start answering those questions on how to master it.
Coach, do I have to hit homers to be a power guy?
No, not at all. Hit balls in the gap, drive balls into the right center field gap and the left center field gap, and you're considered a power guy. So doubles show up more than anything. Triples, that depends on what the field configuration is and how you run. But doubles is probably the best indicator of someone's true potential to be a power hitter. And so that's a key ingredient for me. Anybody that could backspin balls in the gap and hit doubles.
That's power. You just said it. Special. Backspin balls in the gaps. That is power. As you gain strength, those turn into homers. You do not need to hit homers right now for somebody to think that you're a power guy. That's important to understand.
Oh, no. Yeah, you have to have extra base hits, and you have to be able to drive the ball on a line in order to show that. So no, I would go back to the amount of doubles that you hit in your career, unbelievable. And that just shows that you had true power.
A little circle back on the extra time thing. You said 2 hours. That's just the best skill. I'll say I don't take a player seriously that they actually want to master their craft or they actually want to exceed the expectation of success at the next level unless you put in at least an extra 5 to 10 hours a week. That does not include weights. That does not include strength. I don't remember one day of practice, even in college, or me and my dad hit at least if I had a day off, me and my dad were hitting for 2 or 3 hours. That's just how it is. That's tough. I know a lot of kids and I know how they work, and Slammers has unbelievable facilities and they are great. And I am astounded at how often that place is empty. It's a bit of a call out, but I'm just going to tell you that if you want to have the kind of work ethic that is going to set you apart at the next level, then you need to invest an extra hour per day. You should go to practice, go hit for another hour, like every day. Like that is what it takes. That's the types of margins that you have to operate inside of. You're just not, nobody's going to take you seriously unless you're willing to invest extra time into your craft.
Yeah, I mean, when you look on social media nowadays and you watch the elite players at the major league level and you watch their routines defensively and offensively before a game, and then you watch some of them after a game put in extra time in the video room or in the underground tunnel it's amazing to see the work ethic and the extra time that they have to put in, and they're elite level players. They're still putting in that time. The game just asks you to put in so many hours if you want to be successful at it, so that you can relax and that you could be in a process and that you could have some success. And it takes a lot of work to understand how to move your body and how you want to attack.
Talked to a scout earlier today. Went and watched, I don't know the name. I want to say it's the Grandview pitcher, but I don't really remember. But it's the kid that throws like 100 or something like that, right? And do you know what he was most impressed with? He's gone and watched him 3 times, and he's most impressed with not the fact that he stopped out at 102 or whatever. It's his pregame routine. His pregame routine.
Oh, great. How he throws his flat ground and how he does
his attention to
stretching
detail and how he prepares to pitch. How there's a clear focus, a honed focus and determination, and that a high school kid shows that he's all business, even though he throws 100 miles an hour, right? Like, if you want to go play college baseball, it's an operation, it's an organization, it's a system, right? And you have to show the ability that you have a standard for yourself that is so high that that's not going to be a tough adjustment for you. And if you're a speed guy, and I ask you, do you work on stealing bases? I asked somebody recently, really fast kid, go, how often do you work on stealing bases? Said he didn't. You know how fast you're going to get exposed at college? You want the whole team? You want the whole team to shut down? That, like, no, dude, that's your tool. That's your tool. You should be investing 30 to 45 minutes at least every other day and having a great first step and having a max top speed. You're never going to be fast enough, ever. Just like you're never going to have enough power. You know what I mean? Like, I'm disappointed in that. I'm disappointed in all the information that's out there, and that there's like, I don't know how many kids really want to rake out of Colorado. I don't. I don't, because I go into slammers all of the time, and at practices over at 6, they have a machine in every single cage in slammers. A machine in every cage. You just need somebody to go like this into a machine, and they have a tee in every single cage, right? I do not understand that all of the kids that say they want to play college and how much little extra work that I see. I'm getting a little worked up about it, actually, now that we're in the crux of it, but extra work is part of it.
Yeah, I think the parents and the kids that are going to watch this, I think they have no idea as to how hard they're going to have to work to want to step into the wish of playing at the next level beyond high school. How much they're going to have to lift, how much they're going to have to run, how much they're going to have to practice, how much they're going to have to put in extra time, how much time it's going to take. And now if you want to go to the next level beyond high school, it is a full-time job, right? And so it's just like, it's incredible. I've been here for 2 weeks watching the AA team play, and they get to the yard by 10 o'clock every day. They play at 6:30 at night. They leave the yard at 10:30, 11 at night, and they go back to the yard the next morning at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
and it is and they're gonna put this in perspective for you. The professional guys that are playing right now, they will continue to play until September. So that means that the college players will finish their season in June. They will have an entire summer off. They will recruit an entire new team, and they will show up in the fall and be 1 month into their fall practice before this season is over as a AA player.
Uh,
Yes, just put that in perspective. These kids will play 150 games, and the college programs will already have their second team in
for a
there
month.
and have had 3 months off before they finish.
To that point, when I played, if I showed up at the park at 2 o'clock for a 7 o'clock game, that was late.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
90% of the days I showed up between 12 and 1, and I was doing something performance related pretty much every minute that I was at the field. So if I'm there at 12, game goes from 7 to 10, right? If
If
you're
you're lucky.
lucky and you're not leaving the park, I mean, my average departure time from the ballpark would be 11 to 11:30. Yeah.
Yes.
And you got to eat, you got to sleep, you got to prepare, you have to take care of your body, you have to enhance your skill, right? All of those things for 7 straight months, every single day,
Yes.
every single day.
And so watch what you wish for.
Watch what you wish for. Oh man, coach, this was great. I'll thank all of the parents out there for giving me the feedback on the
Yes.
questions to ask. Please, like we said, reach out to me, reach out to Nino, reach out to Billy, reach out to Mark. From the ownership all the way down here at Slammers, we care and we know how much it takes to develop young talent. We are here, so please be an advocate for yourself. That's the best way to make us advocates for you. Coach, do you have any parting shot?
No, thanks for the questions.
Absolutely. And we'll leave it there. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, yeah, good.